Tim Cook is not having any of it as he faces criticism from some lawmakers after limiting AirDrop sharing in China just weeks before the demonstrations broke out. That stymied their ability to actually talk to one another and get more protesters on the ground as they did in Hong Kong a few years ago. During the conversation all morning long this morning is Dagan McDowell and Chris Markowski. And Dagan, we know that Apple has 74 billion reasons to ignore Hillary Vaughn, and that's the amount of money that it generated in China last year.
It was very stark listening and seeing that. And Hillary's amazing to very pointedly confront Cook that way. But to read it, if you read a transcript and just the lack of response is so stark. And really speaks to, he has no answers. But we all bear some responsibility for this because we're all walking around with this. And I don't know, I don't have answers either in terms of where we go, but these are made in China. And so our money indirectly is not just going to Apple, but supporting the Communist Party indirectly. I just have to say one quick thing with Brock Pierce. He kept referring to Aaron Sorkin. Aaron Sorkin is a writer and a director. It's Andrew Ross Sorkin who interviewed Sam Bankman-Fried. And I have a lot to say about crypto and no regulation, but I just had to correct him because that's not who interviewed Sam Bankman-Fried yesterday or this week.
I know, Chris. I know that it was Andrew Sorkin.
But again, like it wasn't Aaron Sorkin.
We're aware of that. Yeah.
Did he watch it?
Yeah. In terms of this Apple story, I just wonder how corporate America may or may not change in terms of the way that they are supporting communist China. You know, there are some companies who are not supporting communist China who have gotten into settlements and fights with the Chinese Communist Party because of all of the intellectual property theft. And, you know, there were enablers to Nazi Germany in 1940 as well. Will this be a repeat? And will corporate America recognize that the CCP strategy is very clear? Rob, replicate, and replace. And that comes from John Ratcliffe, the Director of National Intelligence. Rob, replicate, replace. Go do business there. They will rob your intellectual property. They will replace you, and they will replicate it, and then they will replace you.
Well, we made a calculated decision decades ago. They said, you know what, we're going to engage in China, open them up, World Trade Organization, all of these various different things. I can remember going back to the Clinton administration, the scandal there with Loral Space and the technology transfers that took place. They were heading in one direction, but I really think we hit a wall with this current premier here, where they have basically gone back to Mao. And our calculation hasn't worked out well. We failed the Reagan principle of trust but verify. Do I think more and more corporations are going to start moving their various different supply chains elsewhere? Yes, they're doing it already. But you got to put yourself in the shoes of Tim Cook right now, and is trying to get out his iPhones for Christmas. And if the Chinese government says, hey, either you do this or guess what? You know, Santa's not going to be putting him into stockings this winter. He's in a difficult situation because, again, he's got a fiduciary responsibility to his shareholders.
Hey, Maria, I can compare what's going on with some of what is happening with China and crypto. You know, regulators... the Federal Trade Commission could have come in and regulated a cryptocurrency in terms of they regulate what is being peddled to consumers. Gambling is regulated. But nobody, no one in Congress, no regulators wanted to get involved because everybody was making so much money. And they didn't want to disrupt the party. Again, the kiddies loved it. And I used, you know, children were probably more responsible with their candy than people who were getting rich off this garbage. And the hucksters and the grifters who are peddling this crap to people. But nobody in Washington wanted to do anything about it. Again, they didn't want to disrupt the party. It's the same thing with TikTok. The kiddies and the teenagers and the 20-somethings, oh, they love it. They're not going to get involved and disrupt it and shut it down. It's the same thing. And we're going to be having this conversation about the horrors of TikTok, or what communist China has stolen from these people and these families in years to come. And we're going to be, in hindsight, in the rearview mirror, have the same discussions about why didn't anyone stop it. And it's because they don't want to disrupt the party. That's what happens.
No, they don't want to disrupt the Chinese Communist Party.